Hello friends, you're here with me, Jen the Taxidermy Witch, and let me get us in the right focus here. We are, excuse me, making a magical besom, and we are going to be doing that out of the wormwood that I grew this summer and spring. Uh, and it got to, I mean, I'm 5'7", and it was well over my head. It must have been to at least 8 feet. You guys saw it with me. So, I mean, it's massive. It's massive stuff. I'm trying to get my right shot here. And so we're going to put together a big magical broom. So, magical brooms can be as small or as big as you like them to be, but generally they're about the same size as a regular broom. I have a besom, a little broom. It's actually just a feather duster, an old vintage ostrich feather duster, but I use it to cleanse the space of my desk and just to, in between projects, wipe it clean of spiritual energy. Not just the dirt, but the spiritual energy. So generally the way that you would use a besom is you would clean your floors. You would sweep them with your normal broom. And then after they've been swept with the normal broom, you would go above, so the floor's down here, you would take your besom and not touch the floor, but touch above it, and you're sweeping the energy, okay? You're sweeping the energy. So your besom never needs to touch the floor to actually clean it. So if you're worried about your feathers getting dirty or anything that you might add to it, you don't really have to worry too much about that. Hello to everybody who's here. Thank you for joining the chat. I went live earlier and nobody came in, so I just ended it. And it's a gorgeous day, so I thought I would get out here and we would make this. So I'm gonna try and stand back so you can see just how gigantic this is that I'm gonna be working with. I dried it in the garage, so we took off pretty much all of the leaves. We did a last harvest, and then I left some on because I wanted to keep every single part of the plant. And I actually saved the plant, and it comes back every year. Next year will be the 4th year. This year's the 3rd year that it's come back. So, let me show you how it looks when it's dried. I mean, it's massive. We have so much here. So this is how tall it is now. Let me stand next to it. Yeah, so it's about 7 feet right now. And they're completely dried. All these big stems are completely dried. And what better thing to, I mean, this is tough stuff. These are just stems, you know, they kind of are hollow on the inside a little bit. Not hollow, but thinner on the inside. And then we've got just all of this dried out and ready to go. So I'm not quite sure how many I will be using yet, but I am sure of the supplies. I'm not going to be using too many other herbs because this is wormwood. This is the wormwood plant. And if you guys are wondering about the benefits, I did over a 2-hour video talking out of, oh gosh, over 10 books on wormwood, so definitely go to refer to that video. I guess I just have to get down into it and start going. So the magical tools that or the supplies I'm working with today are the dried wormwood, and this is my harvest at the, end of August, well, mid-July. We cut this down and it's taken, 2 or 3 weeks to dry. It's dried all the way through, and the branches themselves, like the stalks, are really tough once they're dried. So this is going to last quite some time. Now, when we use the besom, even though we're not touching the floor, that's not to say herbs might fall off. If pieces of wormwood fall off, that's fantastic. It's blessing your floor. I always feel like if I'm doing a working and kind of herbs fall out or fall on the floor, I just see that as like a really cool floor sweep. And what I want to do with you guys too is do a magical floor sweep and floor washes, because those are really if you don't have a besom, then a magical floor wash is the way to go. Hello to everybody who's here. It's so nice to see everyone. Okay, so we've got the wormwood and we've got a ton of it. As much as you can use will work. Or if you had this in mugwort, or if you had it in any other herb. This is what I've got to make a big broom, and I couldn't figure out what to do with it. So this is going to be a massive besom. It's going to be bigger than me, and I want it that way. So, and then I have 9 peacock feathers. You don't have to use feathers. You can really use anything you like in this besom. It's just, there's no magical intention tied to this. It's what I had around the house that I thought would make a lovely looking besom, okay? For me, there's no magical intention tied to this. I do know the properties of wormwood, and they are all crazy amazing. I do know the properties of peacock. I've done videos on that too, so if you guys want to check those videos out, please feel free. As always, down below, my Etsy and Patreon is connected in the description. The other thing that we have here are strips of that cow spirit, that suede leather that I'm always using for workings, whether they're my Etsy workings, and I can recharge them with the piece of leather I have at home. So if you guys are like, my working is just kind of pittering out, I can take the spirit of the animal and I can work with that because I have the same one you've got. So I've got that same strips of leather here, suede leather. Man, I don't know if you could try and be any louder while I'm trying to do this video. Alright, and then I've got this star that I made a long time ago. It's made of willow. It has a white peacock feather on the top, and then it's got green string tying it around. So these are just willow like logs that they sell at the pet store for chinchillas to chew on, and I made a star out of pet store wood. Either way, though, it's willow, you know? So now that Alex is home, it's drawing out the neighbor. This is awesome. Alex, I'm doing a video, just so you know. The other thing that we need to have here is something to consecrate it with. I'm doing a video. Alex. So I have moonblood. That's what I'll be consecrating this with. You could consecrate it with tears, you could use saliva, you couldn't really use nail clippings, right? You could use your hair, absolutely. You couldn't really use nail clippings unless you're able to really tie it in. So, one thing I like to consecrate with is either blood or tears. Or spit, you know, if you're on a whim and you don't have either of those. Like if you can't push out a tear, woo! I feel bad for you only because crying is such a good release for me. I've got a bee that's harassing me. Let me try and get this to get out of here, yellow jacket. And then back in the back, I have a candle going. Can you see the candle going over there? And if you want to get a candle going outside and keep it lit, just put it in an outdoor hurricane type thing, and it will. Let me show you what I'm speaking about. You can just keep your candle lit outdoors with one of these, and it makes a really crazy burn as well. See that with the wind blowing on it? So that's a way you can keep a candle going with you outside. You don't have to have this fancy thing. You could borrow the hurricane from your oil lamp, and you could use it temporarily. Absolutely. When that candle's going, the light came from my altar light. When that candle's going here with me with my working, I know that spirit is right here with me when I'm working. Ooh, a mason jar. That's a good idea. Just cover it up with a mason jar. Yeah, that's a great idea. Thanks for adding that. Absolutely. And then the last thing, you need to have something to tie it together. And I just have some thick hemp of a natural color here. You could use, you know, if you didn't have anything but you had a giant stick of rope, start tearing the rope apart. You could certainly add intention into this, but I have not, to be completely honest, I have not researched besoms very much. You know, they all basically say the same little bits and pieces when you just go to get a general definition of it. However, there's a good chance with this wormwood, I might be able to actually fly in the sky. It's strong stuff, and this is such a large amount of wormwood. I mean, this is an insane amount of wormwood, but I didn't want to just let it go for naught, you know? Yes, hello to everybody who's here. So how will I tie in this part? I'm not sure yet. I'm not sure if it'll even be a part of it, but when I had, before I found the wormwood branches in the garage and thought of doing it, I was thinking of putting it like kind of at the base where the broom meets the handle. So we'll see how that ends up getting worked in, if it even does. So let's just go ahead and tip you guys down and we can start making this together. Making it together. Alright, so you want to figure out how big you want it to be. I always say start big and trim away, right? For any of you that have had your hair cut too short, you know this too. You can always take more off, but once it's gone, it's gone. So if I move this around a bunch, it's going to rattle off a lot of this dried wormwood. It's summertime. People just, they have not very much in their underpants and they have to step on the gas pedal so that you know that they have a big one. That's ridiculous. Oh my goodness. Peacock feathers, I'm probably just going to weave these within and just kind of have them kind of sticking out. But a good first step is to get the base tied. Now if you wanted to go through and even up these branches, you could, but you guys know I like to work with that total like uneven Blair Witchy look. So I'm leaving it just as it is. And like I say, it's going to be massive. So let's get going. So just make sure you have the shortest of the stems up in the knot. Yeah, I think this is going to be good. This is going to be real good. I will be keeping this for a long time. Right, Alex? Cool. So I'm just trying to get some of these little dried pieces up here so that the stalk itself is cleaned off. I don't want a bunch of like rickety looking stuff up there. Also, that's where my hand's going to be. So you want to just kind of pull off any areas that may be sticking out. Because I want a very like defined look of a stalk and then a broom. Okay, so I'm going to, all these trimmings that fall off though that are still excellent, then I will keep for my magical workings, obviously. Alright? So do I need to be closer to you guys? Can you see well? Can you hear well? I didn't really think about it being so loud on the road today, but I like being outside. It's definitely a change up for the channel. I don't get out enough. If there is somebody in the chat that knows loads about magical brooms, please share your knowledge with everyone. There's a lot that I have to learn about them as well. But I wanted to show you what I was doing. Okay, so now I've got it all cleared down to the place where I'd like to have my knot be, which is about here. Okay, and just kind of, if you were to set out and do this all at once, it would feel kind of overwhelming. Just do a little bit at a time so you don't get frustrated. And get some main knots tied in there, and then after that you can go ahead and do lots and lots of them. Twirl it around, etc. Let's see. You're getting dizzy? I hope you guys are okay. Hey, Gypsy Lee, how are you? So good to see you. Taking it as tight as you can possibly get it, because you don't want it to be rickety. could certainly anoint this with an astral oil or a flying ointment. If your purpose was for, I suppose you could use a broom as a symbol for some astral travel, right? Like, let's say you didn't want to do the spiritual cleaning of your house, but you wanted to have this magical tool. There's the saliva. Absolutely. You could have it there as a symbol for your magical intention and workings and things. Hey, wonderfully blessed. So nice to see everybody. I'm not saying everybody's name this time because I'm just... sorry, I'm kind of... Maybe I should, though. Let's say hello to everybody who's in the chat. Let's say hello to everybody in the chat. Hello to Uncle Badger. Hello to Little Gray Rabbit. Hello to Michelle No Creations and Sue Ann Delk. Hello to... Those are the only people who are talking anymore. Lola. Hello to Kirsten. Hello to Bone Whisperer Hex. How are you? You have a baby cinnamon besom from Michael's. Oh, that's cool. I bet that would look lovely. Cinnamon's such a cool one. Gypsy Lee's here. And if I missed anybody, Citizen ZTV, welcome. Willow Witch, wonderfully blessed. Uncle Badger, Sue Ann Delk. So many kisses if I missed anybody. I love you, and I'm glad that you're here. So, I've got this, I've stripped it all down. It's all uneven and very like me, okay? Like me, uneven. And then getting all these little bits torn away, which I can do more later on my own. We can kind of try and speed this along a bit because it's going to take a while. Which is fun, you know? Big outdoor projects. I like it. So maybe flip it as you go so you can see the other side. Getting all these little bits stripped away. Remember the bright green bits you're going to be able to keep for your workings, but the brown bits you want to go ahead and get rid of those. In my opinion, if you have this much. This is going to be the biggest besom in the history of the world. Not really. Hey Joyce! Did I miss? Hey Steve, how are you? I'm so glad to hear that your family is doing better. Yes, hello brother, nice to see you. So this is all wormwood. Big giant wormwood from our harvest this year. And this is just what we didn't harvest. This was left over. There's just so much to work with. I think the peacock feathers are going to look really nice in here. Alright, so kind of getting some of this down to where it's going to look more like a broom, and you can take your time doing that, and I will take my time doing that. Getting some big ties on here. You really want to make sure that it is going to hold and be secure. It's a gorgeous day in Seattle. We're blessed for the weather that we have. We don't have too many natural disasters. We had a big earthquake in 2001, I believe. As you're making these knots, if you had an intention, now is where you're going to be putting your intention there. But my really only intention is to do a spiritual cleanse of my home and, you know, kind of have that spirit connection with the wormwood. That's really all that's on my mind right now for the intention. But if I were to put some Rose of Jericho water on the floor and try and do some, you know, trying to get any evil spirits or evil energies that would be residing in the house, you can use Rose of Jericho water for that purpose. So maybe I would do a floor wash with Rose of Jericho, and then come back around after my floors are clean and do this as the spiritual layer, okay? So from what I understand, that besom is just not to touch the floor, but just for that spiritual layer. So you could, into these knots, tie the intention of cleansing this evil spirits away, cleansing the evil spirits away. And that makes sense too, because wormwood is for, you know, it's a big spirit communication herb. So if that's making sense to me, is it making sense to you? again, getting more of a defined top on this so that it looks like a broom, not just a bundle of brush, you know. Really trying to get that defined broom handle here. Just slowly working our way down. I could absolutely, because I hear I heard my question from somebody. Can you make these in a smaller version? Absolutely. Absolutely I could. Next year, after the next harvest. I don't have the supplies, I'm using them right now to do this. But I could make a smaller version out of the tiny wormwood twigs I have like this, right? So you can make a smaller version out of these. These are still nice and hard. They're dried really well. They're very firm and sturdy. If this was not dry, it would be really difficult to manipulate. When it's dry, it snaps apart pretty easily. That is loosey-goosey. Come on, Lucy. Does anybody else that's here in the chat use their mouse when they're tying a knot that needs a finger? You know, like a present knot? Like, put your finger here for the present. I use my mouth and then, like, to pull the knot tight because I have to keep my finger there to keep it tight. And so that in itself is a consecration. You know, you can anoint and consecrate that way of your magical tools with your saliva. Again, I use moon blood. Or regular blood, or you just can't really use nail clippings too easily in this one, but you could use your hair. Absolutely. I'm feeling like we're almost there. And really have it try and take on the shape of a broom. And when I say that, what I mean is that with the broom, it's not just the bottom that's flat, or the shape of it's that flat. Remember that each parallel is flat as well. So I will be trimming the bottom of this at the end. I'll be trimming it to make it look flat at the bottom. But I'm trimming it right now on the sides to make it look skinny in appearance as well. If that makes sense. Yes, now it's skinny enough, but I'll need to trim the bottom to where it looks like. So I say I couldn't make a mini one because I didn't have the supplies. Well, that's a fib. I have enough right here even just to make a mini one. So my Etsy's down in the description there, guys, if you want a mini besom made of wormwood, peacock feathers, cow spirit, hemp. It's pretty much all that's in here. So yes, that's what we're doing here. And I know you're wondering, how are you going to get those feathers in there? I cannot wait to show you. I'm going to tie them on with the leather strips. Not the hemp. The hemp is just for up here. The leather strips are for tying in the peacock feathers. So if for some reason you don't have time to stick around until we're done, that will solve that mystery for you. Okay. So the top is looking really good. Again, we've cleaned it so that it looks like a handle, and we've got loads of trimmings below to make smaller besoms or to just use in magical workings. But even these sticks, you know, don't think that after you've used the herb off it that you can't use this stick. I use every part of it. You know, I use every part of it if I can, which usually is the case. Okay, so I'm just gonna get some more hemp tied on here, and I'm actually gonna, because it was so weak the last time, I'm gonna try and double up the hemp to see if I can't get and you know what, you could braid the hemp. Oh boy, if you braided the hemp, that would be great. And later on I'm gonna add some more to this where I braided it. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, all you would need to do to braid it is just make a tie at the top here, tie it in a knot, start braiding all the way down, and now you have a very, very thicker, sturdier piece to work with, okay? But since that would take a long time to braid, which is great because it's loads of intention, but this is a video and nobody wants to see me braid hemp unless I've got stuff to talk about. And I just don't, because that's a long time. But what I want to say is that I'm going to twist it for now. And that should help keep up the integrity of the strength. So don't let go of that twist and come down. And this should help me pull it nice and tight without breaking. Yes, so braiding that would be a great idea. Because I pulled as hard as I could on that and nothing busted, so that's good. Really pulling your intention into any kind of knots that you'd be making, okay? My only intention here is really spiritual cleansing. Now, you could get awesome about this and take your favorite number or whatever magical number you use. I'm using 9 feathers. You could do 9 rings of binding on the top of the broom. Whatever makes sense to you, or you could follow instructions by a Wiccan, and if you're doing this for Wicca, there might be completely different ways of doing it. So definitely do your research, because I don't know a ton about these little guys besides what I've told you. And again, if anybody wants to share their knowledge, please do. Cool cloth on your forehead. And oh. I smell a cigarette. The neighbor must be here. Awesome. So my neighbor's over here. I'm just going to work because I don't want to speak on video while he's here. So uncomfortable. And stinky. So you could go and you could trim all these little bits off. I usually like to leave them kind of like wild, but we'll see at the end. I leave them till the end though, because you know what? I might want to tie on some feathers up here or some beads, maybe some lava beads, and add aromatherapy while I sweep. Or you could add another intention into the lava bead with the aromatherapy. And with aromatherapy, guys, just use 100% pure organic essential oils. I really don't recommend it any other way, unless you're making your own, which I really like to do one day. I thought that was the birthday gift well, it was the birthday gift I was told I would get, but that's alright. Dremel tool works. Haven't used my Dremel tool yet, but I'm sure that I will. And I'm grateful. Very grateful, because I know I'll need it for all my crafting. So I'm trying to get all of the little bits of wormwood leaves that are in the middle. You could totally leave them there. It's just, again, the look that I want to go for. And after I'm done making this last little hemp tie here, I'm going to kind of show you, stand back and we'll take a look at what we've gotten done so far. Then we'll start with the peacock feathers. Then we'll cut the bottom. Then we'll see if we can add on this star. And then we will consecrate. Okay? This is the same stuff I used for the wormwood crown, you know, just the smaller pieces. So this is like a giant piece, and then these are the smaller pieces. One day I'm going to write a fiction book. Well, it'll be half fiction, half non-fiction, called The Landlord. So look for that in shelves in like 10 years. If you pull these out, pull them out the other way. If you pull them out this way, they might get de-shedded in some cases. Alright, I'm liking it. It's really looking exactly the way I wanted it to look. I mean, we never know when we make a project how things are going to look. We just have to kind of go with it and make adjustments next time. And that's what our Book of Shadows is for, right? Stop! There. Alright, so my landlord is having a cigarette right over next to me where I'm filming. It's awesome. So let's see, what can we do here? So, like I say, doing the like double and triple up is going to be a good idea. Braiding it if you can. You're putting in some knot magic, some intention, etc. Yeah, see you later. Good fucking riddance. Black salt only works for 3 days. Hot pepper, too strong. It's like, what are you gonna do, you know? Whatever. We'll be out of here soon enough. That day cannot come soon enough. I miss my mother. I love her. Go inside, old man. Seriously, just leave. I know you can hear me. Leave. So rude. This is why I'm agoraphobic. I don't fucking come out of the house. It's okay, though, because after we move, I'm going to write a letter, and I'm going to say everything I wanted to say this whole time. So, like, yeah. Not for this video, for another one. Alright. So, pulling your intention down into those knots if you've got one, otherwise Spiritual cleansing is good. So we've got some knots. Right now we've got 1, 2, 3, what's up? 1, 2, 3, 4 sections of like loops. Look how wiggly this one was. That's because we couldn't get it. Do you need something? That's because we couldn't get it tight because we didn't double up and triple up. So this is what I'm talking about. You kind of learn as you go along what's going to work in the situation. These are way better and tighter and everything than these two over here. Okay? So definitely doing the braiding or at least the twisting with 3 lengths of hemp. Now there's a person here purchasing a tree, so that'll be nice and loud. It's frustrating. I really would come outside more for videos, you guys, but this is so very frustrating. Okay. Don't let it get you down, just move out of town. Yeah. Yeah, give us the $20 and move along. Okay, so here we go. We've got, show you what we've got. So we're going to want to cut the bottom of this flat, which we'll be doing last. But if you can see how big it will be, it's really large. Let's tip you up even more.
Right in that area. So we got 2.1 acres. And so
it's taller than I can put my hand, so I'll have to measure how tall that is. It goes pretty much right to the point where my fingertips will hit the air. And then the other good news is that we'll be getting more trimmings from the bottom of that for workings. So that'll be good. And right now, we definitely have enough for 1 or 2 small besoms. Hey Tess, nice to see you. It's a Jen size besom, it kind of is. It's like, whoever said go big or go home, they didn't know me. Like, they would have said, what would they have said if they did know me? They would have just said, go big, now go home. Okay. So let's see, I'm going to do the rest of this later, but basically I've got a good amount sticking up from the top. I've cleaned away all of the little twigs and such so that it's real defined between the handle and then the broom itself, okay? This guy is loud. Being clairaudient is really difficult when sound drives you nuts. You know, in general, I'm not an angry person, but it might be unbelievable. Okay, let's keep trimming. Just keep trimming until you get the shape you want. But don't take too much off, y'all. Okay, and then again, it's also flat. Like when we're looking at it this way, it's really not that wide. Pretty wide, but it's not as wide as it was. It was looking too bushy. Now when I turn it to this side, it's big and wide. This side, it's more flat. All you want is a real definition, so to me, so it looks more like a broom and not like a broom that will stand on its own. I would like it to be as representative as possible. A genome. Okay, so now we're going to tie in some feathers. Let's do that. The thinning will take a while, and that's good because you'll get a lot of pieces, but for me, I would just really like for it to be as skinny to the side as possible. So I'm taking out more while looking at it this way. Does that make sense why I'm doing that? And then now we'll flip it this way and do the same, just so that you're really getting that thinness to it. So that could be a while that you're working on that. If you want to attach this is the place that I think that it would be good. But we can wait until the end to decide that. But it would look nice here, just that like protection symbol, creation, protection. Got a white peacock feather on there too from my white peacocks. And then as well as these peacock feathers. I never knew these peacocks, but I did know the other one. We're taking the leather. Remember, this is using the cow animal spirit. I don't think many people think of that when they're just using leather, but why not think of it? Because it certainly is the skin of a cow. And I'm thankful to utilize those things and to not just not recognize it, I guess. So let's get some feathers going. If you are able to get long, for lack of a better phrase, long stem peacock feathers where they have the whole entire feather, it's not trimmed, get that because it's going to make more sense with the broom. But I'm going to just place mine kind of throughout. Flamingo poo. I'll just be placing mine throughout. Now you really probably don't want to place them until you've decided the length of your broom and the width, but at this point we kind of have to get the show on the road. Because I could sit there and thin out all day and still not be completely happy. Okay. Let's get rolling, schmagaggy. Da-da-da-da-da, schmagaggy. I have something funny to tell you guys as soon as these people leave. These strangers that are here smoking in my driveway. So weird. Who smokes in somebody's driveway? Usually I thank the spirit of the animal at this point for being used and applied into a working. Hey, I cut myself. See? See how nature will never ask you to cut yourself? I'm making something that needed to be consecrated. I accidentally got a little cut. Those things happen. I feel like it's meant to be, you know?
This is exploding cucumber.
Alex. Go away. So I'm really excited to be at my mom's house where there'll be like no interruptions ever. I can go outside and it's just going to be good stuff, and they'll just, I have way more privacy there. It's ridiculous. Okay, so if you wanted to use a different color, because if you didn't, like if you wanted it to blend in a little bit more, you could use the hemp, or you could use maybe like a darker brown leather, but this lighter suede, it sticks out a little bit. For me, that doesn't matter. But you'll see that the peacock feathers are just going to kind of lay in there, and I hopefully will have them kind of coming out of the mugwort. That's my goal. This one in the front is more to show you how to tie it on to the actual branch. I would never ever, if it was me, use hot glue for a couple of reasons. It could be just really messy. It degrades the integrity of the herbs that we're using. You know, it's not very magical. Let's see, what else? Where should we put one? Let's put one here. And you don't need a terribly long piece, but you can trim it after you're done. Seriously, right next to me talking. So brown. Yeah, I love being alone, if you guys didn't know. I adore my friends that understand me, but the rest, I just rather be alone. Now you can twirl this around like if it was a, you know, a hair extension kind of tie-on or something like that, how they make them pretty, like a corkscrew type. You could do lots of really fun, interesting things here. Like I say, you can attach beads on, and that would make noise. That would be pretty. You could do bells. I actually don't know if you should do bells. There might be a spiritual significance there that may clash, but do your research and see if you had if you had like a brass bell or something, like not a cheap dollar store bell, that's going to be metal that's not really got good integrity magically, but like a brass bell, sure, that would make a lovely noise as you were cleaning house and tidying up. Yeah, they do call it the life-changing magic of tidying up. Murray Kondo, we love you. There we go. So just want to make sure it's in there fairly tight. If the feathers end up falling off after a couple of years, I call those lettings. And look, from this angle you only see one. From this angle you only see one. So if you put these at different angles, they will be seen by all angles, okay? Alright. Yay, they're gone. So that means it's probably about time for somebody else to show up. Yeah, I know what you're saying about me. I know what you're saying about me. That is okay. Go ahead, glare at a witch, see what happens. There we are. Now you don't want to let these hang down farther than you know you're going to be cutting it. But I think that the blue, like the peacock feathers almost blend right in until you see the blue, and then it's like a magic trick on the eye almost. I like that. But you do want to make them blue side up, because the other side of the peacock feather does not have the blue. Okay, and that is going to repel the evil eye as well. So if you wanted to brush through your house to do some evil eye repelling, if you want to go out on your porch and use this to repel the evil eye, that's a great idea. Sometimes little bits of the peacock feather fall off. You can use those in little workings too. It's still a peacock feather. It's still the energy, the animal spirit. So you could use this into a little tiny like glass bottle and have that peacock energy right inside on a little like necklace with herbs and things like that inside, because it would be quite hard to fit this inside. So why not reuse it in that special way? Like I say, just trying to use every part of especially the animal spirit, you know, the plant as well, but especially the animal spirit. For me. Everybody's different. Happy little accidents. Bob Ross had it right so many times in my magical practice. Have I come across happy little accidents? So don't think that they just happen while painting. No, darling. We can get happy little accidents anytime, darling. Sweetie darling. Sweetie darling. And the same goes for these little pieces of leather strips. I don't throw these away either. I use them in workings. I use them in nature offerings. I use them in all types of things. So all these little bits I trim off, they are not to waste. Absolutely not. So tying in 9 peacock feathers. I don't think I'll get every single one of them tied on while we're watching right here, but I would probably do 5 in the front and 4 on the back. If you wanted, God, stop it! If you wanted, you could do like some that were on the back, but they were pointed this direction, so that you could see them coming through the backside. I have no idea if you guys can see that or not. No, you can't. Here. So look, you could tie them on here so that they can be seen through the back, like this, over here. Or you can flip it around so that it's a double-sided broom. Get your dirty minds out of here. I said double-sided broom. Okay, so, or you could do all 9 on one side. What am I going to do? I'm going to do 4 on one side, 5 on the one side. So, like I say, you could have it be to where one side's definitely the front, or to where both sides are. But if it's me, I'm thinking that I want both sides to be repelling this evil eye, okay? I don't think I'm going to add the star onto this working. I don't know. Do you guys think that I should? Would it look good right here? Or should we just leave it as it is? What do you guys think? Help me, Rhonda. Does it look better with or without? With or without? With or without? Either way, but that star, yes. Yep, add the pentacle. Okay, that's what I was thinking too. Because I have a hard time, like, I tend to overdo things, and I'm like, oh, I shouldn't have done that. It's too much. But at least I have your support here and knowing that it is okay. Hey, Yellow Jacket, get out of here. Let's do a loop. A loop. My candle's burning strong. It's got a funny little wax there. Look, it looks like a, let's look at the wax really quick. Because there's no reason why we couldn't do a wax read on this super quick. Look at that. It looks like an angel with wings or something. Or a person maybe kind of sitting there. With big feet. Does it look like an angel made of Bigfoot? Does it look like a Bigfoot angel? This side is like this. But where the wind's been hitting that flame, it's burning down really cool. And that's another fun thing too. You were gonna say it looked like angel wings. Yeah. Yeah, it really does. Cool stuff. Cool stuff. Right. So again, the star is made of willow sticks. Willow, green thread, white peacock feather, and that's it. No super glue or hot glue or any of that. No adhesives. Hello, butterfly. So I'll be getting this on here with probably hemp at the top and then leather at the bottom, because that's the because that is the hello Jez, so good to see you. Hey Earthly Taurus. So because that's what I've used where it touches. I've already used that hemp here and then the leather here. So I'll do that. So you just have to get creative and weave it in there. Find a way to poke it up through something. Or down through. Come on. Okay. Tweezers are really good for projects like this. And so since the leather strip, the cow spirit, is going into this, I'm going to, and touching the star for protection, etc., I will be asking for protection from that cow animal spirit. Okay? And tying that intent into these knots. You can definitely, if it was me, I'd be saying this out loud, so thank you to this lovely cow spirit that I worked with for so very long. Please be with us in our intent here for proper spiritual cleansing, keeping away the bad spiritual energies and welcoming in the good. Okay? So mote it be. Good thing about suede is it's stretchy. Bad thing about suede is it's stretchy and breaks. But just be real delicate while working with it, and you should be alright. So we've got one piece tied on and held there. Okay. Weaving that through there and then finding a good place to tie it on. You know, the good thing about not... Sorry, there was that yellow jacket came back. The good thing about liking things rustic and Blair Witchy is that it's easier to make that way and you don't sit there and worry about it being so perfected, because that's a big problem for me, is worrying about perfection. But when you're going for that look, then perfection comes very naturally. Because it's not perfect. And it's not meant to be perfect. There we go. Okay. So we've got it held down in 2 spots. Now we're going to bind it at the top. Okay, we've got it held here and here. We're going to bind it at the top, and I think that's it. I think it's just going to need that. And to me, I could be going crazy because it's not going to have a tie right there and it has it over here, but I can't let myself get hung up on that kind of stuff, because I think that stress takes away from the working too. Like, it just puts the wrong types of energy in there. Again, I'm going to use 3 layers of this hemp twine, and then it would be a really good idea to braid it, and to braid and not your intention and your intent into that. But I'm going to do a twist method because it's faster and it worked before. However, it has less intent in it. Stop that, bee. Okay, so tying up at the top, then you could start braiding. I like the tie for the twist as well, because then when I try and restring it later, it's easier. Okay. And I do want to tie my knot to this one in the back just because I don't want it to be in the front of the star. You could leave some long bits here so that you had some dangling beads down in the besom. You certainly could. Absolutely. You can do whatever you want to this and make it your own creatively. That is super special, just like I've added the star. I think it's great if you add the star, but you could do whatever symbols you like. If you have a personal symbol, that would be even more powerful, I would think. Your personal symbol made out of wood and then put onto this. Okay. So like I say, leave all the long tassels into the end to see if I even want to cut it, because it might slip out. I might still need to bind it, etc. So right now we've got the star placed on. Almost all the feathers are in. I'm going to do the rest of that off of camera though, and right now I want to trim it so that it's flat. And then we will, I will demonstrate how to anoint, but I'm going to be doing that privately off of camera because I feel like that's a really special thing, and it should probably be pretty private to the witches, like how you go upon anointing your things. Hey, Two Sisters Vlogs, it's so nice to see you here. How are you? Welcome. We're just finishing up this besom that we've been making out of wormwood. And it's way taller than me, even with my hand up. So good to see everybody. Hi, Dustin. Nice to see you. Okay, so let's trim the bottom of this. Let me tip y'all down. So I like the top. It's uneven. It's gonna look good against the wall being uneven, in my opinion. If you wanted them all to be the same length, just find the shortest one and cut it there. So let's get this trimmed. And remember, we went through and made sure it was flat. And how we did that was we removed any ones that were sticking out. So just try and get them all pulled down. Like brushing your hair. Pull them down like brushing your hair. And then come through and get to trimming. Hello? Over there. People cannot read. You're a hairdresser, you're going to be really good at this, I would assume. Maybe come through, give it a shake, lift it up off the ground, and see where your cuts are at. Still kind of pulling down pieces like their hair, making sure they're looking good and straight and all that. And then taking on whatever shape you want it to have, you know. I'm pretty happy right there, I think. I think that's looking pretty good. So let's tip it back and take a big old look. So from this angle, you see there's none going nuts this way like there were, and there's none nuts this way like there was. It's more or less skinny, okay? And then we've got a good arch coming out the side, and out this side and down, okay? And then also, there's a very definite difference between the broom and the handle, because what we've done is we've sheared all the rest of that wormwood leaf away. The wormwood leaf went all the way up the stalk, all the way from the bottom where it was attached to the ground. Now this year my wormwood grew to over 8 feet tall. Hey, bye Ricky, it was good to see you. Thanks for being here. Such a blessing to have you. Let me stand back so we can see what we've created. And remember, I'm adding more peacock feathers and I'm adding more hemp after we're done. But for the most part, I wanted to show you what it's going to look like, and I will definitely show it in the next video when it's completely finished. But this is what we've got. When I'm standing after it's trimmed, I still can't touch it. It's about a half an inch taller than my hand all the way up. And so this is what we've got. We've got a beautiful wormwood besom with white peacock feathers. So white peacock feather, regular peacock feathers. We've got the animal spirit of the cow right here with this suede, and I've used this suede on many workings, so that attaches us as well. The willow wood, the wormwood, and that's it, you guys. It's really pretty simple. I think the beauty for me lies in the simplicity, and because that's not something I get right most of the time. Usually I make things way too complex. So it was such a blessing having you guys here with me. I want to show you the amount of wormwood that I ended up with. Oh, right, and just to consecrate the item, like I say, you can use blood, spit, hair, nails if you had it, but I don't see how you'd keep your nails in there. That's why I didn't suggest it. I'm using moon blood. I keep it in a glass dropper, and you can literally just put a couple of drops. Generally where I put the drops is where my hand will go. So I would stand up and I would hold the besom. Wherever my hand fits comfortably, that's where I usually anoint. I will anoint with the cut that I just got on myself while making it, because I think that that's more special, and I'll also anoint with my moon blood. Why am I anointing with moon blood? Wormwood is a moon herb, and it's very, very powerful connection with the moon. So moon blood to me makes the most sense. So I would just drop a couple of drops of blood right on the wooded area, or you could, this is actually what I'm going to do. I'm going to put it in the top of the stalks so that it soaks its way down. And then I might put some Rose of Jericho water in there so that the menstrual blood gets all the way down to the end. That's just something I thought of doing just on the spot there. I don't see why it's not an excellent idea. You could use full moon water. There you go. Maybe that over Rose of Jericho water. So let's see how much wormwood we ended up with left over for small besoms that you can order on my Etsy shop in the description down below, or just for magical workings. We ended up with quite a bit. So we have plenty to make, I would say 2 or 3 little mini besoms if somebody wanted one. I can certainly make a little mini star of creation. I've got plenty of peacock feathers, but when it comes down to the anointing and the consecrating, then that's something that you do on your own, obviously. Yeah, I think that that's it. I think that we got everything covered. For those of you who know tons about besoms, like, okay, Tess is here. Tess, did I leave anything out that's important about besoms? Besom. Am I saying it right? I've only read it. B-E-S-O-M. Yo, besom. Or anyone, if anyone has anything. She said no other than any essential oil, maybe. Yep. And so, an essential oil, you could, like if we tied on some lava beads to some of those areas that were hanging down, or another thing that expels essential oils. Oh yeah, this suede leather. Suede leather is a great expeller of essential oil. I use it in a lot of workings. That crown that I made, the mugwort crown, I anointed these with astral oil that I make. So I don't see why you couldn't do that and add some scents into this. Okay, and then Kirsten said, I posted a lot of Besom info earlier, Jen. Okay, great, thanks. I appreciate that. Just because it's not my subject, you know, I know the basics of it, but not enough, or it probably as much as y'all. So this is gonna look excellent in my new place. I can't wait to show it to you when it's completely finished. And with that, I'm going to sign off and say goodbye, but I had such a fun time making my magical spiritual broom with you guys. And there's a good chance that I'll pop on later for another live. So great seeing you. Thank you, Two Sisters, for stopping by. I think it was your first time in the chat. Hey, Demon Kiddo, thank you for stopping by. Says, I don't know what a besom is. It's a magical broom. You know how you always see a witch pictured with a broom? That's the besom, and it's for after you sweep your floor and the floor's clean, then you go about an inch or two above the floor and sweep the energy, right? You sweep the energy, so it's an energy cleanser, yeah? So lovely to see you guys. I'm so glad we had this time out together in the sunshine. Sorry there was complete interruptions the whole time, but that is of no fault of anyone's but mine for coming outside. So have a beautiful day, you guys. I'll see you soon.